let's get literary. Because, hello, I'm Jessica. I'm doing a thing called Fantober where I'm talking about a different version of the Phantom of the Opera every day in October because I write Phantom books. And today's topic, another Phantom book, Phantom by Susan Kay. Phantom was published in 1991. English author Susan Kay was inspired by the musical, but she read the book and wanted more of Eric's story. Which makes sense if Eric doesn't get a lot of backstory in the book. It's like a few paragraphs at the end. So Kay took that foundation from LaRue and built on it. Phantom is told in the first person by various people in Eric's life and Eric himself. His mother, his mentor, the Persian, who is named Nadir in this version, and Christine Raoul are also narrators. Phantom was marketed under various subtitles. Sometimes it was a novel, sometimes it was the passionate story of the man behind the mask, or the novel of his life. I love this cover, by the way. The one I bought as a teenager was this one. You see, when Phantom came out, it was unique. It was a published fanfic, and it was, 500 pages of Eric's life. It was awesome for young fans, or all fans in the 90s. It was so influential that elements of the book have almost become canon on their own, like the Persian's name. People just call him Nadir because that's what Susan Kay called him. But that was her invention, and it's still under her copyright. I know I was certainly moved and influenced by this book when I first bought it, and read it again and again and again. Because her characterization of Eric is really good. He's really funny and sarcastic, and his voice is really well-defined. And because this was sort of the only game in town, I didn't really think too critically about it back in the day. But it still never really satisfied me fully. Because while this book's characterization of Eric is really interesting and really compelling, a lot of the stuff around him is not as great. One of the things that bugs me about this book is there's a lot of homophobia and there's some racism in it. Instead of fixing LaRue's Orientalism when it comes to Persia, it gets worse, and the portrayal of the Roma people is not great. And then there's a character called Javert who does bad things to Eric, and that's just bad. Other story elements are really weird. There's a lot of strange stuff with his mother. And then, as I've mentioned before, the reason he becomes obsessed with Christine is because she's a doppelganger for his mother. Not like her as a person. And also a lot of Eric's sort of immoral behavior is sort of blamed on him having a drug problem. In general, I think the Eric and Christine stuff is the weakest part of the book, and it's where she goes off from LaRue and does her own thing. And I don't like how Christine's written as a character. But the fact that this book existed yet was lacking showed me that something like this was possible. It's also marketed on the tin as a love story, as a romance. But it's not a true romance novel because it doesn't have a happily ever after. That's a requirement for romance. So Phantom inspired me to do that myself. My Phantom books wouldn't exist without the inspiration of that Phantom book, or the disappointments of it. Susan Kay doesn't seem to have written anything after Phantom, but it still has a big place in the fandom and in my heart. What should we talk about next? And please don't say rats.